Welcome
Hello,
back to
hello.
Shared Spaces. Hi, Quida.
Hello, Chappie. How are you this evening?
Good, good.
I am Laquita Chansey from Baltimore Homes. I'm the founder and director, and we build micro shelters and tiny homes for people experiencing housing insecurity right here in Baltimore. We target redline communities, and we want to rebuild Baltimore with the blighted communities that already exist and add resources back to where they don't exist right now. So, Chap, tell us about you and tell us about the guests because these are your family members. Tell us who we have here today.
All right. Well, real quick, let me stop and thank Donnie Glover, BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, BlackUSA.News, a voice of the people. Thank you for all our sponsors. We'll be running a ticker at the bottom, and the best way to support what we're doing and keep us on the show live is, and then the rest of our shows as well. We got shows 7 days a week now. Is support our sponsors. Um, we have So I'm Chaplain David Lovelace, aka Chap. I am Vice President of PowerFest Baltimore. More about that coming soon as we get back to it. COVID kind of jammed up our mission statement, but we've been in the community supporting. And a couple community announcements. There's a town hall coming up tomorrow night with Baltimore Action Catalyst team. We'll put some information out on that a little bit later. And also, the Education Justice Podcast Project is recruiting new high school students for 2022, and a little later I'll post the link for that if anyone wants to watch a recruitment video and get plugged in. So there's that. Our guest today, I'm super excited. So as y'all know, in November I was part of the production for We Own This City coming out April
Yeah.
25th, HBO Max.
Oh, wow.
And Miss Teresa Davis joined me on that production, as well as last week I was on the Robert Washington Report, comes on 8 p.m. after our show, and I was introduced to Galileo Sean Armstrong, and
Yeah,
so
Gadiliel.
Gadiliel, thank you, man. I apologize. I know
Oh, good.
I know I butchered it. I was going to let you introduce yourself. So, Miss Davis, if you don't mind, let me let Mr. Armstrong introduce himself, and then we'll allow you to introduce yourself, man. What do you do? Who are you?
Hey, how y'all doing tonight? Good to be here,
Hi.
family. Yeah, I'm an actor, independent actor. I've been acting since 2010. Started acting in in Howard University as a student film. And actually, Robert from Robert Report actually connect me with the student director there at the college at the there at Howard, and I told him one day, I said, man, look, I feel like I want to do some film. I want to do some film work.
Yeah.
He said, you know what? I know someone who's holding an audition next week. I want to give you his number and see if you could connect that. So I went in and there in Howard University, and I auditioned for this Raisin in the Sun play, film, whatnot, and I did such a great job. I felt like it was mine anyway. Once I read it, I haven't taken any acting classes or anything at that point, but it was just something that I felt that I wanted to do, and that it was my purpose. Before that, I was a writer. I wrote songs and mess around with different instruments and things like that. But something about acting and film, I wanted to step into the arena, and that's what I did. And I got the role to play Walter Lee for Raisin in the Sun,
Wow. Nice.
and ever since then I've just been on it. I just caught the bug, and I've been shooting for
I love that story.
ever since.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. So,
I love to hear that stuff. It's send something through you.
huh?
I said I love to hear those kind of things, those stories. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. It's beautiful. So. And so what I did, I moved back to down south. I'm from down south. I grew up in Mississippi, But I went back to Atlanta, which I had lived there for like 10 years before I moved to DC. I lived in DC for 8 years. So I ended up going back to Atlanta. And I started auditioning for other things that was going on around town. And that was before the internet got really big and things like that. So I'd seen I walked by different shops and stuff and seen audition flyers and pamphlets and things like that. And I went and tried these different things. Some I didn't get, and some I did get. And I started, I got some background acting work, and I started dabbling in the background acting just to get experience more on set. You understand? And so I did those things. Yeah. And I'm telling you, so when I got on set, when I get on these projects and these sets, instead of being a background actor, I was a sponge. So I was watching the actors, I was watching the cameraman, I was watching the directors, everybody. I was asking questions when I can, because you really can't just interfere. But I was asking questions. I stood right by the principal actors, to get in the film and to get used to the cameras and things like that. And and I learned a lot. They gave me some advice.
Yes.
I asked questions. They talked to me. They know that I was okay. He's not just a background actor, I don't think.
Yeah, he's gonna be so much more.
Oh, you understand what I'm saying? So, and that's how it all began.
Yeah, that's
awesome,
beautiful.
man.
Yeah.
And look, from that story, man, I'll tell you, there's a lot of love on the production and on the set, especially when you're professional. And like you said, man, you wait the appropriate times to ask questions, man. They do show a lot of love. It's a good experience. So Miss Davis, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hi.
What a panel. I'm looking at the bottom of your names and things. Thank you so much, Chap, for having me. I just ran in here from another interview. It was an in-house interview. It was beautiful. And I say, guys, I would love to stay, but I got to get to this live, this Zoom. This is awesome. I'm going to ask you first, how do I share this? I'm not good with this. How do I share this on Facebook or something like that? How do I share it?
So on people can watch live on BlackUSA.News Facebook page and BlackUSA.News YouTube.
Okay.
And I believe we're also on Shared Space YouTube channel, which we've started to kind of build our content and our episodes. So any of those three, they can watch live, and then after the show, give it like half an hour, and then it'll be available to review.
Okay, I'll share it like that. I can put it on Facebook afterwards.
Do whatever you want to do with it. This y'all's show tonight. So yep.
Awesome. Well, in that case, thank you so much again. I am Teresa Davis. I am super excited. I'm still coming back off a natural high after talking to these people I was on a panel with, an in-house interview. And I had you guys in the back of my mind. I'm like, this is crazy. Both were short notice, but they are the best times.
Yeah.
Like some things that are spontaneous and not planned. You like to piggyback what you said. How do I say your name?
Gadiliel.
Gadiliel. That's beautiful.
Gadiliel.
Gadiliel. That's beautiful. To piggyback what you said, a lot of people don't like to be a behind the scene or a background, what have you. They think that's beneath them. But that is where I got most of my experience, and I'm still getting experience.
Right.
As when I worked with Chap on We Own the City, I was a background person with 5 different characters. It was so fun. I like being told what to do sometimes. That way I can stay grounded as to when I'm telling someone else what to do. Because we get big-headed sometimes, and I just want to stay humble. So I want to test myself at different times. And Quida, how you say it? How do you say your name?
Quida.
Quida. Nice to meet you too.
Hello.
I see you don't like that. So you agree with me. So like people forget that you have to sometimes switch roles to be a leader and a follower. So we had a great time when We Own the City. I've been on other shows, and they pretty much do things like they do with TV1. Then on Channel 2, a lot of the shows. I've also, I'm a 5-time author, self-published. And so I get to use my work from writing, and I get to put it in the film as to what I'm filming. And the great thing about it that I film with my iPhone, I just got the newest one, the 13 Pro Max, but I film with my iPhone and then I transfer the footage and then I edit. So it's been really fun. I used to do all the cameras and all that stuff, but this is very different for me. It's much more. I don't know. It's fun, and I get to film more stuff quickly as opposed to setting up a lot of things.
Mhm.
I can grab certain shots. Let's say I'm
Mhm.
on the bus and I like something, which I'm very seldom on the bus. Just give you an example. But if I'm riding, I'm a passenger, and I say, well, I want to get this shot, and I noticed, and then Chap, I know you probably noticed on set they
I was
were
going to say
filming.
that. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, you go ahead and say it. I want to hear you say it. What happened?
Well, you're going to say that even on the HBO set with all the professional and big names and big money out there, they were running iPhones to capture
Yeah,
scenes. Yep,
and that
absolutely.
was like,
Wow.
it was
And they
really,
were
yeah,
they
that
were
was
editing
awesome.
on site, right? They're editing on site. So like after they do a set and we're switching over to the next scene, you can see the guys like right on the side editing the
Yeah,
iPhone shoot
yeah,
right into the cameras and the different stuff, editing right on spot, man. It was really
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, and it looks pristine. It really does.
Yeah, it
A
looks really good.
lens is a lens. I want people to realize that a lens is a lens. Just as if you're doing something right or if you're doing something wrong in front of someone, people only see what they see.
Hmm.
It's just a lens. It's
Right.
it's a vehicle to what you want to get your stories.
Hmm.
So,
So is about the lighting. Is about
oh,
the lighting.
lighting is everything. Lighting,
Yeah.
sound, as with the camera, it's no different.
Right.
And well, the feature with the 13, it does let you film a lot of things in what they call low light, and so it doesn't look as grainy. So you get that option to use low light a lot more.
And that was the issue that I would have with the iPhone in the past, is
Mhm,
that the low light was the worst. Anytime we're in low light, I'm
mhm.
like, where is a Samsung phone? So thank you, Jesus, that we have
Yeah,
got it. Yes,
yeah,
because this is an iPhone. This is a Mac Apple household. I don't get paid to say that. Lord knows they don't pay anybody to say that, right?
right, right.
But all their things just connect so seamlessly that it's
Hmm,
kind of mindless. So it doesn't really surprise me
hmm.
that you all were editing like right there on the set live. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
I do that a lot, and I never wanted to be an editor. I used to
Hmm.
like, I don't want to do that. Nope, just want to act, just want to direct. And then people, I hate to use this word, but they were lazy. And so I'm like, where's my footage? When is this going to get done? When is that going to get done? So I said, you know what? I got to learn this. And I have not looked back. It's been 2 years now, I think.
So
And
help
it's
me
been fun.
understand this. So we were able to hear that he taught himself, by being and absorbing and being a sponge. So he didn't really. Did you go to school, or did you also acquire all this through experience? Because
Experience is the
like
best
the
teacher.
best way to learn
Yeah.
how to do things, right?
Yeah, Uncle did. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I've been filming since 2012. My first web series was done in 2012. I directed it, but then lately after that, I started shooting. I got tired of paying for people. They would like milk your time, like milk. When I say milk your time, I mean literally. Like if I'm being milked here, they would do other things and say, "Well, this is per hour." But during that per hour, they were doing personal things, and I'm sitting there like, "Are we serious? Like, uh, did we take time off for the personal things that you started doing?" And they go,
Hmm.
"What do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, time you're doing other stuff, we should be doing this." And then some days they didn't want to film, but it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bad. It just was.
Right.
I thought that I could do it in my pace better. I had more. My drive was on overdrive. Everybody's drive is not going to match your drive, and so I just felt like I'm being stagnated. I want to move forward. When can we do this? When can we do that? And it was always, well, I got to do this, I got to do that, and then I'll get to you. Or Chap will tell you, I like to film in areas that people don't really want to go to. I just do. That's where I'm from, and that's what I'm used to. I'm accustomed to, and my stories are around things that I see. I just got finished talking about this. They say, "Well, why do you film certain things like kind of maybe valid, crass, whatever you want to say?" Because that's what I want to show. I want to show Baltimore as I see it, and I want to show change. I want to show recovery. If I got to show recovery, and if I'm trying to, if you will say change, I want to show change. I have to say what I'm trying to change. I have to show you what's ill. I have to show you what may be crass. I have to show you what you may not like. If someone's shooting up in my scene, I have to show you that. I can't just take you straight to an NA meeting.
Right.
I got touch pieces.
I'll comment on some of the stuff you filmed was over at the park that me and Quida spent months and months cleaning up until the city finally picked up and took over by Penderhughes on Winchester, North Carrollton, right?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so
you guys clean that park up?
We did it week after week after week until finally the city was like, they didn't have a choice. Like Donnie put the squeeze on him and said, "Look,
I can imagine."
Yeah, he's like, these two come from over east every Saturday to clean over west to do your job. Why aren't y'all doing it?" So we talked to the councilman. The councilman talked to whoever, went up the chain of command to the point where the mayor drove by one day while we're cleaning up to make sure his city people showed up. So that you were able to film there, right? Because that's the spot you filmed at.
Yeah, I filmed all up and down that area.
Yeah,
one of the staples is Cumberland and Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah,
that's like
part of the city, man.
That's to me is one of my backdrops. I love that area because we are hurting in this city, and we're hurting from past things as a kid to an adult. The mental illness is very high. And I think they're putting a Band-Aid. I might be going a little left for you guys, but I just got to say this. I think they're putting a Band-Aid on certain situations as far as the addicted areas when they have the meth centers up and all that. I don't know is it going to be a crutch? Is it going to be that way all the time? When do you get off of this program? Those are the things that I'm worried about.
So, Miss Davis, I would totally agree but I would agree to the sense that what are y'all doing with these programs? But more importantly, I don't think that it's too far to the left, and I don't think that they're helpful. I don't think that replacing one addiction with another is the best way to solve addiction. Like that to me doesn't make sense if people are still walking around looking doped up. Like it doesn't. Yeah. What are we solving? We're not. We're controlling a population, and I really feel like that's often
we're actually
the biggest part of the strategy. You know, even in the unhoused population, like I'm not Section 8. I want to give these homes away. I don't want to, you know what I mean? I don't want you to depend on me, and that's not what I'm here for. That doesn't sound like building wealth and or equity to me. So to your point, we have to film in these communities because how else are they going to be seen?
Right. Well, a lot of people are coming from other places, which I mean, I don't have a problem. I welcome that. But they come here to get our rawness, if that's the way I want to put it. You get what I'm saying? You guys get it? They come to get our rawness. They come to exploit sometimes our hurt. And it becomes a masterpiece. You know why? Because it's so touchful. It's a touch piece. It's so recognizable. It's so relatable that we kind of conform to it. Like, yay, that's our story. But why can't we within all four of us in the square tell our own stories and help our own people?
Right. So that it's not exploiting Black pain, because that is definitely seemingly a damn genre, which is crazy. Like it's always so I agree with you that it pulls at our heartstrings. We know that those situations exist, and rather than doing all that we can do to fix it, people come and exploit it, like you said, and then profit off of it and move on to the next hood. Nothing is given back to that community.
I couldn't put it a better way.
Do you know what I mean? Like no organizing was done. Nothing.
As with the Freddie Gray, they just came in, CNN. I was right there filming beside them. You know, I was doing my independent film, getting the news, and a backdrop, a story about me. I did radio for 3 years, so you know, I go to my community, I get these stories, and I'm filming side by side with Fox 4513, CNN. You know, and they came from overseas and set up camp. They came and got the story and they left. And then the story that was told to me that I was witnessing was in the same lens. Get it? I didn't see the same lens that the story they reported.
I
didn't see
remember.
it.
Yeah, I was there, and people like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine."
Yeah, are you all right? Because they make it seem so much detrimental, which I'm not saying it was a detrimental unrest. It wasn't that. I'm not saying that because it got kind of ugly. We could talk for days about it, but it was a different lens. I didn't stand beside these people and see what they saw. I didn't take it that way. I guess because I'm from here, or maybe they wanted a better story.
Yeah.
And also it seems like when we get the opportunity like to write ourselves and write our own stories, it seems like we fall right into that. You know, they like you look on Tubi and you see all the films that's on Tubi. It seems like we fall right into it, and we have opportunities to create something different.
Yeah, create your own story. Create what you want. What makes you feel good? What makes you feel happy? What makes you feel anything? I just got finished talking about the great Tupac. Of course, he had some issues, and of course, he had some great points. He said this thing about he wanted to spark the mind. If I can spark the mind, I can make you think. Then I've done my job as a writer, as a person to convey something, a storyteller. I've done my job. And some things you're not going to like what I show you. Does anyone get killed in my new series? It's called Kicking Indoors. It's about Baltimore, the police. It's rather a little bit politics, murder, sex, and yes, recovery and drugs. Does anyone get shot? Does anyone get murdered? Does anyone use drugs? Yes. Does anyone get recovery? Yes. Does anyone gravitate to healing? Yes. But I have to show you how they feel and what they're going through for you to feel the touch piece that I'm trying to create here.
Okay.
You're going to see that.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you so much. And I'm having fun. I'm going to work with Chap. He is, can I tell him your role or no? I can tell him. He's going to be the police chaplain. So he'll be talking to the officers about their PTSD and what they're going through on the job. So I want to create that. Are our police, and if in fact, are they trained enough to take care of the mental illness that we see in the city? Are they trained to know when someone is ill and when someone is not? And if this person is sane before you shoot them?
Or the mental illness that some of our officers have, and they have that tool called a gun in their toolkit, right? There's that side too.
More importantly, let's address the bias, because someone doesn't necessarily have to have mental illness, but there's definitely some sort of bias or even unconscious bias to some degree, and that needs to be addressed and unwound. And but that takes money and that takes work, and I don't see that being the focus of the police. I don't see that being a KPI checklist that folks are looking at on a consistent basis, because if you're not checking it consistently, then chances are the work isn't being done. You know what I mean?
And to be piggyback on that, at what point are you capable of policing? Are you diffusing the problem or are you igniting the problem? I watched someone just recently here in Baltimore. It was a small situation, and the police was the one who ignited and fueled it.
They escalate. The yelling and go ahead, Chap.
Look, I'm just going to comment because I feel like I should. Is that I agree with you guys, but I can also testify that the training I went through at the police academy did teach us about unconscious bias. Okay, so I think what the word that you use is consistency. So I think the consistency and revisiting that and reevaluating constantly maybe is the missing piece. But they do try to train on unconscious bias.
I'm sure y'all touch on it. I'm sure.
Yeah, and yes, yes, some police are aware that some of them are aware that just by their presence they can escalate situations, and that's part of the reason why there's a chaplain program in Baltimore. And before COVID, we ride along is to be a community chaplain. Like I'm not a police chaplain. I'm a community chaplain with the authority of the police in the context of police and community. So my role is to bridge the two, right? Like I'm in the car with the police because yes, they're experiencing trauma. They're experiencing all the city of the trauma for an 8, 10, 12-hour shift by themselves in a car. And then they got to go home and do it again tomorrow. Same with our nurses, same with our firefighters. They're experiencing all the trauma of the city as a career choice.
Yes, bless
And
those firefighters
yeah,
that were rushed
and if
off
they
to the
don't have
hospital.
someone to talk to, right, and unpack it with, then
Yeah.
so that's why I ride with them. And then we try to do officer appreciation stuff because if we send them out fed, then if you got a full Tommy man, you're going to be a little bit nicer in the community, right?
Yeah.
But we're also there for the community,
You get hungry, you get angry when you make this Snickers or something. You
Yeah,
get angry.
right. But I just wanted to touch on that because shame on me if I don't, because I agree with what you guys are saying, but it's again like you said with the media, that might be all that you see, and so you don't see the other side of things, or you don't get
Of
information
course.
on what they're being trained on. So
Of course.
yeah,
I
but
had an incident. I was really young, and I had an incident with the officer had responded to my home. I had my very first apartment. I was so young, and the commanding officer came, and he was irate. So I'm thinking he come to save me. You know what I mean? And he's here for the opposing person. He's not there for me. And his partner. I mean, this guy went off. I could have probably had a lawsuit, but I knew nothing about this at this age. I knew nothing that I could sue these people. He was irate. He jumped on top of me, and he was choking me. He straddled over my chest. He straddled over top of me like this, and I'm on the bed like really, and I couldn't breathe. And so his partner kind of took him out of wherever he had went, like snatched him out of like, dude. And he realized what he was doing, and he got off of me. And he said, "Can I talk to you outside?" So we stepped outside. I was a young girl. I remember this. And he said, "Listen, he's going through a lot with his wife. She just put him out, and you guys are arguing. You're a couple." And I said to myself, "This guy shouldn't be at work."
Right.
How did that make you feel? How did that make you feel?
He got triggered, right? He got triggered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible.
And so that's still a part of that mental health check that I think, like we need to recognize what our triggers are. Like almost he should have been the one to be like, oh, this is probably not something I should go to. This sounds like a domestic violence dispute.
Right.
Have you seen that type of behavior even in your acting roles, Mr. Armstrong? Would you say that you often have to portray someone who's experiencing trauma or has gone through trauma in most of your roles?
Yeah, it seemed like in the last year, couple years, year and a half, I've portrayed some traumatic individuals with and yeah, I looking, I try to look into it, meaning I do my research and try to get a clear understanding of what this character is going through.
Yeah, so you
and
can pull from it. Mm-hmm.
So I could pull from it and things like that. And I usually do. I feel like I do a good job at doing it.
That's good.
And then I leave it all behind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just acting.
I know how to compartmentalize. I know how to leave it all behind. And things
Now,
like that. Yeah.
So now, would you say though that it is a full circle, like Miss Davis, because she says we go from having an addiction to recovery to healing, and all of that can be seen, throughout her movies, throughout her depiction of our lives. Would you say that your characters go through that whole thing, or is it just that small traumatic piece? Do you experience recovery? And
I experienced the last couple of roles. I experienced recovery.
Okay.
And yeah, I experienced recovery, and because these last couple of films have been about a message, of redemption.
I love a film with a message, not just a bunch of evilness.
Right. Yeah. There's always a message in the end, and that's why I took these roles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's a message, and I want to be I want to be on that side of the table. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To bring a positive message for people who need that, and we as humanity needs that at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, some
Not
hope,
just,
the glimmer
yeah,
of
exactly.
something, you know.
Exactly.
Love,
Yeah.
like Donnie always says. Donnie is always talking about love, and that's really what it is. Like I always say, we have to treat people like people, but more importantly, like we have to remember, not only is it just our trauma and the trauma around us, but it's our generational trauma as well. And we've been through a lot, and that
Yes.
cannot be negated.
Not to
So,
mention the race. Our race, and we've been through so much with our race and our ancestors that we need to figure out how do we get to a norm and how do we stay there.
Yeah, I agree. And the whole norm thing, I see that taking generations worth of work, to be completely honest. Because the system helps to oppress us. The system is violence in so many ways. Like when we're talking about Baltimore and I look at the blight and the vacancy, I feel like that's violence against our communities, to be completely honest. So, I mean, that's more trauma. That's more and more trauma. And I don't see that being fixed tomorrow. So again, I see it being a generation's worth of work.
I had someone here out of town recently. It's funny you say this. And we were riding around looking at my murals. I have some murals that were done in Baltimore with my team for my movies. So our thing is to put up different murals with our actors on the wall and showing the art in Baltimore. And so we were riding around, and this guy says this from out of town. He says, "Why so many abandoned homes?" And I didn't have an answer. I was like, everything's boarded up.
Oh no, I got an answer. I got many answers.
That's
Where
our wheelhouse. That's our
wheelhouse.
wheelhouse.
Do we begin? Is it the urban planning that was disguised to dismantle Black communities? That got rid of 50,000 people. And that's a lowball estimate. And those were Black and brown families. Not to mention Bethlehem Steel, that used to employ so many people. And by 2000s, like that company was non-existent as far as maintaining a workforce. So people had to leave Baltimore. Once upon a time, we had 1.2 million people. I don't believe we're even clearing 700,000, which means there are houses for in excess of 500,000 people out there. Those people don't exist. Who's taking care of these homes? No one. They're
dilapidated homes, everything's boarded up, and he was really shocked about Baltimore. And I wasn't embarrassed, but I was I was thrown because I didn't think of it that way.
Because you don't have an answer. You're so used to it.
I see it all the time.
Right. That's our new normal. I know part of it. One of the OGs shared with me. Part of it is that if I'm a homeowner, or if I'm an owner of the properties, and I collect a bunch of abandoned properties for cheap because they're abandoned, and then I go along with the plan of the city to let crime stew in a neighborhood. Well, I hang on to that. So I can do two things with the property. I can invest in a property. I can rent it out. I can make some supplemental income, or I can sit on it, don't spend a dime, wait for the community to go to trash, wait for the city to claim eminent domain, and then on every piece of property that ain't worth a dime because it's abandoned, when the city claims eminent domain, I get fair property value for that house. So I get, instead of getting like $1 for that abandonmenium, I'm getting $35,000 for it from the city to claim eminent domain over it. So by not investing anything, I just made a 350,000% profit. Right.
So you house
because
rats,
there's a surplus of houses. That 35 that speculative sale, that 35,000, that never comes to fruition unless you're in Harbor East or Canton
or somewhere they're gentrifying, right?
The places that are already built up, like that speculation is gone. Those properties don't exist, bro. Like, stop coming here, grabbing cheap properties, and then going back
to gentrify.
home.
Yeah,
because we gotta live with that.
They just took over, like this year. They just took over. The city just, and I could be wrong, but I think just this year the city took over Garrison.
Mm.
Up there,
Probably.
yeah, up there by like Upper Park Heights and stuff. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the guys that had properties there, they were waiting for that to happen. They knew it's coming down the line. They know when it's coming. They
Yeah,
know what they're doing, man.
it's all timing. So
But
I want to pedal backwards a little bit.
thank you. Yeah, I want to get back to the film stuff because I have these fantastic, experienced actor, writer, directors. Let's, what you
I
guys
want to
got
pedal
going on?
backwards just a little ways down. So back to what you were talking about, Mr. Armstrong, and what you brought out, Ms. Quida. So I have this one young lady. I'm so excited about her. She's very young. I met her up there on Cumberland and Pennsylvania Avenue, in between all of that things that are going on up there, all the shakiness and all the, darkness that you see up there that's going on. And she came up to me and she wanted to be in the film as I was filming. And I said, well, okay, we'll get you in the film, whatever. And I could look at her and, no disrespect, but I could tell that she was using. And she was very young and pretty. And you can see the remnants of her beauty, even though she's using. And so it's not too late for anyone who wants to get clean.
Never.
So, yeah, so she plays a role of an addict because I knew she could do it. And I knew that I could get what I wanted. And I also knew that I can help her. And you probably say, what do you mean help her? Sometimes by playing yourself and looking at yourself and, getting into your character, it wakes something up. And I'm so excited.
That's huge, man. So let me comment on that because you just flipped the light bulb off for me and my personal life.
Right.
When I was a teenager, I grew up in Baltimore. I was the white boy in neighborhoods that most you don't usually would see any white boys. And I had
So
access.
funny.
I'm just saying, like for instance, back in the day, not to incriminate myself, but this is my truth, is that I would come down to the city and go down to certain neighborhoods, and you could find, you could find raw for like $5 a pill, and you could take it out to the county and flip it for $25 a pill because county kids were scared to go get it, but they wanted to use. And so through being exposed to that and being part of that culture at that time before God moved in my life, I started using, right? And because I was like, why are they paying so much for this? And I became curious, and I used for about 6 months. And just what you spoke on was what saved my life. Like it's a little bit vulgar, man, but I was sitting on the bathroom toilet and I looked across at the mirror and I did not recognize what I saw. I literally looked like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Like I did not recognize myself. I thought I was looking at a monster. And God gave me that moment of clarity. I was like, wow, this is what people see when they look at me.
Okay.
How can they not know?
Or
And the
say
fact is
anything.
they do know. And it was like, and I just, the fact that I didn't recognize myself, I quit cold turkey. I went through all of being sick. And like, I didn't do the recovery program per se, but God intervened through that perspective, through a mirror, just through me seeing myself as I was, changed my life. So that's huge. What you just said, that works.
Thank you for being so transparent and sharing it. That is an awesome story.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
this young particular girl, you're gonna love her in this movie. She's phenomenal. She can act too. It's not all her being herself. She's also doing what I asked her to do. She's acting. So I saw her the other day in passing, and I walked right past her. I didn't recognize her because I haven't done her scenes since then. She has other scenes to do. I'm working with a lot of people first, and I didn't recognize her, but she recognized me. She said, "Hi, Miss Davis." Like, as a matter of fact, like, "Hi, Miss Davis." I was like, "Hi." "Oh, hello. How are you?" And she's so pretty. And it didn't take long for her to look like herself again. I'm just excited about her.
So where were you at? Were you at Pensy Ave or?
I saw her at the market on another side of town.
Okay.
And so I promised her long before this. She said, "I'm gonna get myself together, Miss Davis." And I really can see on the outside. I can see that in the way she talks, her clearness in her voice. And I just love this story because it's true. And I said, well, when you finish this part, it's really a really, really sad part. I said, we're going to show you getting clean. So I need you to start looking like that. When I run into her at the market in passing.
Wow.
So is this a feature film?
I'm sorry.
Is this a feature film?
Oh
or
no,
a
it's
short
a
film?
web series. It's a web series.
A web series. Okay.
Yeah, for Baltimore. I'm shooting it solely in Baltimore. I only have one scene outside of Baltimore, and the entire movie is filled with Baltimoreans. And if you want to come be here in it, you can come here and be in it. Where
There you
you
go.
live at
I'm gonna
now?
come up. And be, yeah, I would love to do that. I spent a
Yeah,
month in Baltimore. I spent a month in Baltimore.
you spent a month. What was that like? You spent a month. What was that like?
It was great for me. I went to the market every day.
Hey.
Went to the harbor.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? It was cool. You know what I'm saying? Just
I had a
walking
question
Did you
in the
go
for
to
midst
any
of
hoods?
people. Huh?
Did you go to any urban part, like in the hood? Did you go to any like our hoods? You know.
Yeah. I can't name any neighborhoods or streets, but yeah, I went to the hood and
Okay, he had the experience.
I went to
I mean, he
different
went to the
parts.
market, you know. But
Yeah,
I
it was kind
had
of
a
like
question for you, Mr.
hood.
Armstrong, for real.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned earlier about like how your first project, after your first project, you caught the bug. So my first project was HBO. I caught the bug, man. I loved it. It was so much fun. I felt like I was in my element. And my sons will tell you, I've been an avid movie fanatic. Like I love how. So for me, I love how all forms of art come together if it's done correctly and are orchestrated into a film. You have, visual art, you have
Yeah.
music, right? You have
Can you
acting,
guys still hear me?
you have writing, yes. So you have all these different art forms that a good director, a good writer can integrate and orchestrate all these different art forms to paint a story and take you on a journey.
I can't hear you guys.
Okay, we can hear you though, Ms. Davis. I love film, and so when I was on set working on production, it was a really great experience. So I wanted to ask you, as we're talking about like she's sharing about how she can use the film to help people evolve themselves. Like, what has kept you in acting for so long, for over, I guess, 12 years now? You said 2010.
Yeah.
What has it done for you?
What has acting done for me?
Yeah, what's it done for you? What kept you going? What kept you working in it for so long?
You know what? To me, it's like therapy. You know what I'm saying? It's like my therapy, and it's like me just.
I can't hear you. I'm trying to figure out what's going
hear.
on.
She can't hear.
Oh, that was the mic. Oh, it says the host muted my mic. Can you unmute?
You got to just hit the mic. Just hit the mic. On yours.
No, you're not muted. You're not muted, Teresa. We can hear you. But yeah, we can hear you, Teresa. I don't know if you can't hear us. But Mr. Armstrong, yeah. So that's a really good comment. I'm gonna if you want to unpack that, man. He said that acting is like therapy.
Yeah, it's like therapy, and it gives you the ability to go into different lives. You know what I'm saying? See through different eyes. You know, and it just helps me to. It just helps me to understand world bright, bigger, larger, better than I couldn't even imagine just being in these certain people's space. I understand. So, it's just powerful.
So let me ask you, after doing it for 12 years, a lot of people, when you're on the background, when you're in a production with a lot of people, a lot of new people like myself, first thing we ask people with experience like yourself, we're like, are you union? Would you go union, right? Like what was your philosophy or thoughts on that? Like, what decision did you make? Why did you make it? Are you union? Do you use like backstage.com or paid?
So I think
What?
it's I don't know. I think it's just muted. I'm trying to get it unmuted, maybe. Can you guys hear me? But I can't hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear you. It says that you're muted.
You might need to log off or something.
Yep, hold on. But
The unfortunate thing when this happens is us telling her what she needs to do. She can't hear us.
so Mr. Armstrong, real quick, if you want to speak to that,
Can you hear me now?
So now I'm in the process of
But I don't hear you.
trying to see if
I can.
to go union. I would like to be union. I think it would benefit me more. I think I have enough history, enough films and projects that I've done to allow me to just go union, because it's a better fit for me. You get it's a to me it's a support.
I'm a
You have
log.
a better support system.
So
And
I don't know the difference between the union and not the union. So is it like any other union? Like you have a union rep and that's the benefit of it? You're guaranteed a certain wage? Is that how it works?
guaranteed a certain wage.
Okay.
And it's you just can't get treated in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? You guarantee a certain way. A lot of independent projects, they pretty much, you get very little pay. They give you access to the footage or whatnot. Sometimes you get the footage. Sometimes you might not get the footage. You know what I'm saying? It gives you it's just something just to build your resume up and your reel up, just so you can get better and more work. And I think that when you join the union, you just have a better opportunity to make a decent you can make a decent living if you continue to put work.
yeah, I noticed like I've been trying to get on some projects with that are happening in like New York, and New York's pretty tight with union stuff. So like if you're non-union, you got to know somebody to get on those productions. And I've also been told like when you get south of like Virginia, the union doesn't really protect actors down there. So one thing I discovered was like for the HBO job, we were getting paid like 200 plus a day, and I'm non-union, and I was getting paid over, like with the overtime and with the COVID test and stuff, I was making over $200 a day to be a background actor. But then I got a casting call for in Atlanta, Georgia, to do the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, right? Well, putting on all the prosthetics to be like an alien in the background or something, and going down to Atlanta. If I traveled down there and I did all the prosthetics job, they were only paying $88 a day. They weren't feeding you like the union guys are. It's just a different setting, and actors' rights.
What year was that?
This year, right now, they're filming Guardians
they're
of
not
Galaxy
gonna
3.
They slacked up on feeding you good.
Yeah, and they said that's why Disney,
because of the pandemic. But I'm gonna say before the pandemic,
we ate good on the HBO set, but
okay.
But we're talking about like Disney, because it's in a city that's not union protected. They don't take care of their actors like I experienced. The experience is just very different. Where I thought it was cool. I got a casting call, and I'm telling the old lady like, "Yo, I'm gonna go down to Atlanta, like go be in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3." And I looked at the pay, and I'm like, "No, I'm not." The pay wouldn't even cover a hotel room.
Yeah, like $88 or something. They pay more in
with
New Orleans. In Louisiana, they pay, I think, like
anything
100 to 110.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
Louisiana, New Orleans, yeah.
But Teresa,
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, and so Teresa, I was talking this to Mr. Armstrong about like his view or his perspective, because he's been doing it 12 years now, on like union versus non-union, and we only got a couple minutes left. But do you have any thoughts on that for people who want to, who are acting or getting into it?
See, well, I do independent filming, so we talk about feeding. We used to feed everybody pretty good, and I used to make meals. But now that, like you say, Mr. Armstrong, the pandemic has really chosen to take us other areas. Like we can't feed you the way we used to, because there's a lot of things that comes with that. So we do like maybe snacks or individually wrapped things like that, and that kind of helps out, because I don't pay my actors. I'm not able to pay them, but a lot of them do want to volunteer. A lot of first time actors I work with who aren't experienced, but what they do get paid in is an experience. They're getting paid to experience and go work with other people. I send them to other people's movies, and it's just been awesome. But if you're union and non-union, of course, you're gonna get paid more if you're union than you would being non-union. It has its pluses. It also has its negatives. It's all about what you want to be. Because you may not be able to work with someone else because you may be SAG or something like that. It's got a lot of things. You got dues that come with it. It's up to you what's the fit that you want.
Yeah.
But I love when we can feed people. I like it because I like to host, if you will. So now I have to be careful with a lot of things. Like I took the SET test. There's something called SET test, and you can look it up online. And it teaches you how to work with the COVID on SET, which has, I just talked about this earlier, the drawbacks, and it has pluses because I get to work more one-on-one with people. And maybe a drawback may be I wanted more people in this scene, but I had to cut back a little. The COVID has really made us think, be creative, and just try harder to what you're doing. Like I was telling someone earlier, I can't show you so much intimacy, but I have to think harder how I can convey it without even making you touch someone. That's acting. How can I get you to imply that you have feelings for this individual? How can I make you feel and show that you love this individual without even touching them? That's the art of acting to me.
You know what's so interesting? I don't think I would have ever thought about the intimacy of it, but I'm always noticing like when the camera starts doing weird things and people had to be filmed like 6 feet away. I'm like, oh, this was totally a COVID situation. Like, look at the way that they're doing this. Or they pulled that off really good. I could tell that this, that, and the other. But I always try to pay attention to those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But one thing I did want to say is that we have about 2 minutes left, y'all. So I do want to get just how do we get in touch with you? I know that you said that you are filming now, Mr. Davis. If folks want to support, be an extra, donate some clothing, a set, whatever the case, how do they get in touch?
I appreciate you. I appreciate the show. I want to say that before I can't get a chance to say it. This is an awesome panel. Thank you so much. You want to go to Teresa Davis, TERESA Davis, on all my platforms, social media. Just put in at Teresa Davis. And if you want, I like the Instagram because people DM me their information and then I'll get back to you. And I guarantee you'll have an experience. I guarantee you'll walk away learning something and giving something of yourself to others,
Excellent. And so, Mr. Armstrong, if you are, I know you've already been invited to Baltimore, so you may or may not be booked for the next few weeks. But if someone wanted to pull you in and have you in one of their films, how do they get in touch with you?
You can follow me at Gadiliel Sean Armstrong at every platform, Facebook, Instagram. That's GAHDILIEL SEAN Armstrong on Facebook and IG. And also, I'm a writer as well, and I'm a writer. I have films that I'm ready to actually get put out there and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to put out audition and stuff for that. And anybody who want to start, who want to audition and things like that, just stay tuned with me, email me and whatnot. And and we can connect. Me and Teresa can connect. Let's connect and do some things in Baltimore with my films and your films, and let's put the work out there.
Absolutely. Awesome. Absolutely. Chap, you're on mute, babe.
That's probably a good thing. I talk too much, man. But I'm glad you said that, Mr. Armstrong, because I wanted to make sure people knew that. You look him up, man. This guy's a musician. He's a writer. So yeah, he's got a lot going on, man. Check him out.
I play a mean harmonica. as well.
Ooh, I do a nice, bro. I play a nice slide guitar, man. Let's go. Hey. I got a nice slide guitar. Let's go.
All right, y'all. Robert Report is about to come on in about 32 seconds. So I wanted to make sure that y'all got y'all goodbyes out. We're going to have you back on because obviously the conversation keeps going. And we will be back next Monday at 7. Stay tuned for the Robert Report on the Donnie Glover channel and BlackUSA.News.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Donnie Glover.
Peace.
Good night.